The man behind Britain's favorite Christmas driving anthem made sure his family would be taken care of long after his final journey home. Newly released court documents reveal that Chris Rea, who died just 3 days before Christmas last year, left behind a fortune worth more than £12 million, almost all of it directed toward the wife who stood by him through decades of illness. Chris Rea, the singer-songwriter behind Driving Home for Christmas, died on Monday, December 22, 2025 at the age of 74. In a statement issued on behalf of his wife and 2 children, his family said it was with immense sadness that they announced his death, adding that he passed away peacefully in hospital following a short illness, surrounded by his family. According to High Court probate records reported by The Sun, Rea's estate was valued at £14,435,894 before deductions. After taxes, debts, and administration costs, the net value stood at £12,063,178. A grant of probate was issued by the High Court earlier this week, confirming the scale of the fortune he left behind. Rea signed his final will in October 2025, just 2 months before his death, a detailed 19-page document that placed the bulk of his fortune into a trust for his wife Joan. It will also ensure she would inherit his personal possessions, and critically, the future royalties from his extensive back catalog, a stream of income built on decades of hit records that shows no sign of slowing down given how often Driving Home for Christmas still gets played every winter. In the document, Rea also requested that he be cremated after his death. The timing of Rea's passing just 3 days before the holiday most associated with his biggest song added a particularly poignant note to the coverage of his death. Driving Home for Christmas, first released in 1986, became one of the UK's most beloved festive songs, featured as recently as this year in a Marks & Spencer television advertisement, decades after Rea first wrote it during a low point in his career while being driven home from London to Middlesbrough by his own wife. Born Christopher Anton Rea in Middlesbrough on March 4, 1951, to an Italian father and Irish mother, Rea was one of 7 children in a family known locally for Camillo's ice cream factory and cafes which his father owned. He came to music relatively late, picking up a guitar for the first time at 21, before playing in bands and eventually going solo in 1974 with his debut single, So Much Love. His career took off properly in the late 1970s, when his 1978 single Fool, If You Think It's Over reached number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 and earned him a Grammy nomination for Best New Artist, despite never touring the United States. Throughout his career, Rea recorded 25 solo albums, 2 of which, 1989's The Road to Hell and 1991's Auberge, reached number 1 on the UK charts. He built a catalog of hits beyond his festive classic too, including Fool, If You Think It's Over, On the Beach, and Josephine, mixing blues, soul, pop, and soft rock with his distinctive gravelly voice and slide guitar playing. Rea's later career was shadowed by serious health struggles. In 1994, he developed stomach ulcers that led to a diagnosis of peritonitis, followed by pancreatic cancer in 2000, which required surgery the following year. He later admitted the illness led to bouts of depression, but pushed forward with his music regardless. In 2016, he suffered a stroke, recovering enough to release the album Road Songs for Lovers a year later. Reflecting on his health battles, Rea once said that doctors had not expected him to recover from his first operation, but that he was determined to do so for his wife and daughters. Despite everything, he continued recording and performing, making his final television appearance in the 2020 Christmas special of Mortimer and Whitehouse, Gone Fishing, filmed fittingly in his hometown of Middlesbrough. Following his death, tributes poured in from across the music world and his hometown alike. Middlesbrough Mayor Chris Cook said Rea had been deeply proud of his Middlesbrough roots, and that the people of the town were equally proud to call him one of their own, adding that millions of people around the world would listen to his music that very night, and that his songs had helped put Middlesbrough on the map. Now, with the release of his probate records, the final chapter of Chris Rea's story has come into focus. A 19-page will, carefully arranged just 2 months before his death, designed to make sure that Joan, the woman who once drove him home during one of the lowest points of his career and inspired his most enduring song, would be provided for through a trust holding the bulk of a £12 million fortune, along with the royalties from a catalog of music that continues to earn every single Christmas. The song at the center of that royalty stream almost never made it to release at all. Rea has spoken previously about how terrified he was that Driving Home for Christmas would ruin whatever credibility he had left as a serious blues and rock musician, worried that a sentimental holiday single would overshadow the rest of his catalog. Instead, the opposite happened. The song became a permanent fixture of British Christmas playlists, radio rotations, and television adverts, and by the time of his death, it had quietly become one of the most dependable earners in his entire body of work, a fact that now shapes the very estate his family stands to inherit. That contrast between a musician who built his reputation on gritty, blues-inflected rock and roll, and the gentle, wistful Christmas song that ended up defining his legacy to the wider public, runs through nearly every retrospective written about him since his death. Fans and critics alike have noted that Rea's 25-album discography contains far heavier, more personal work than the song most casual listeners associate with him. Yet it's that one holiday single, written on a difficult drive home decades ago, that will likely keep generating income for his family for years to come. For Joan Rea and her 2 daughters, the newly released probate figures offer a rare, concrete glimpse into what their husband and father left behind after a career defined as much by resilience through illness as by chart success. £12 million, a trust built with care 2 months before his passing, and a song that plays every winter in households across Britain, together forming the final gift of a man who spent decades fighting to stay behind the guitar for the people he loved.